Welcome back to the beginner's guide to get GitHub and open source. Till now we have discussed a lot of things. We discussed open source in general. We had a look at GitHub. We discussed version control, Git, basic Git commands, and then we finally saw the steps in which you can make the open source contribution. Although the difference was that last time we worked on a test project, we worked on a sample project, which is not an actual contribution. It was just for practice. But now we are going to make an actual open source contribution. So yes, you can follow along, but I think by the time you see this video, this this PR would already be merged. So yeah, I think you can just watch this video along, and this will give you a lot of insights on what are the things that we need to follow while making the actual open source contribution. So I'm trying to recreate a sort of actual scenario here. So this is my portfolio website, madhavbahel/portfolio, github.com/madhavbahel/portfolio. I opened an issue here. So this issue is recreated in a way how you'll find the actual issues in various open source projects. So I'm going to go over these 6 steps exactly, but in a real world scenario. Perfect. So first step was find an issue to work upon. So we have done this. Let's say there might be multiple sources where we can find these issues, which I'm going to discuss about in the next video, in the upcoming video. Let's just wait for that. But yes, for now, let's just say that we have found this issue. We can find this issue through multiple ways. We can put a filter of label JavaScript, React.js, Hacktoberfest, and so on. So let's say I came across this repository and I found this particular issue. So what I would do is, as soon as I found the issue, I would first of all read the instructions, like what all things are given here, what needs to be done, what is this, is this a bug, or is this a task request, or is it a feature request, or so on. So this one seems a small task. This is a good first issue. So this is not a very difficult one, but it involves a little bit basic requirement is the basic knowledge of React.js and JavaScript and HTML, CSS as well. So let me read it. So the owner or the maintainer is asking to include the cover of his YouTube tutorial in the modal pop-up and link it to this given link. So here's given example as well. So this is how the current UX look like. So this must be his website. This must be how it looks like, and this is the expected UI. So the change here is that we need to add an image here at the side of this. This looks pretty much not difficult. It looks very good. It looks workable, and yeah, it looks interesting. So this is how you find issues that you can work upon based on your knowledge as well, and based on things that you might get to learn something new out of it. So this should be your approach while working on open source issues. Just see the technology that the code base is written on, see if it can increase your knowledge, or if it's just some small change. The end goal with open source contributions should always be to increase your knowledge. So always remember that. So yes, this looks good. So I'll work on this. So what I'll do is I would ask the owner here, although it's me, so it looks weird, but either way. So I'll ask, hey Madhav, can I work on this issue? Would you please, or something like this. I would like to work on this issue. Could you please assign this to me? So this is how you can just inform the owner that you are going to work on this specific issue. And then what he'll do is, after seeing your comment, he will assign this to you. So he will assign, so I have already assigned myself to this. So the second step was fork the repository. Again, this is my own repository, so I don't have anywhere to fork it, although I can fork it to one of my organizations. But it's not necessary. So let's just skip the second step, although you would need to do the second step. So all you need to do is press on that fork button and select your personal account. Now the third step is to clone this repository. Perfect. So let me go and clone this repository, not here. Let me just copy this URL. Let me go on to my playground and let me open the git bash and let me do a git clone quickly. Git clone. So by the time it clones, let me have a look at this repository. So if you were a first time contributor to this repository, probably you would need to set up the things first, set up the environment first. So in all the open source repositories, something that's common is you would find the steps to run. So always look for steps to run. So here the steps to run are very simple. Clone the repository, do an npm install, and then npm start. So I'm going to do exactly that. So I have cloned this repository to my local machine. I'll open that portfolio, and here I will open my command prompt and I'll say npm install. So there are various things that you can look for into in any open source repository. You can look for contributing.md, you can look for steps to run, you can look for contributors.md, and so on. Generally, most of the open source projects have a file named contributing.md, which contains the steps in which you can contribute. So there are the style guides, there are a lot of things which the maintainers decide, and you would have to stick to those style guides and stick to those specific things decided by the maintainers. So just go through the contributing.md and just go through the issue details once again very clearly, so that there's no miscommunication between what needs to be done and what you are doing, so just so that you save your own time. So again, planning first and executing, planning twice and executing once is better than planning once and executing twice. I repeat myself, planning twice and executing once is sometimes better than planning once and executing twice. So it can save some time. So perfect, let's do that. I think we must have installed the dependencies till now. It might take some time since there might be React.js and some other libraries that might need to be installed on your local machine. So it might take 2 to 5 minutes, and by the time it's going on, you can explore various things as well. So I'll tell you a little bit summary of this project. This is one of my tutorial projects where I taught students React.js and React portals by helping them build their own portfolio website. If you want, you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/theleanprogrammer, and check it out. Perfect. So now the installation is complete. So npm install basically generally means installing the dependencies. Npm install is complete. Now I can do an npm start. Perfect. So as soon as I do npm start, it will start the project on my web browser. So these were I did nothing, I just followed the steps to run, and in the meanwhile I'll also open this project in my VS Code. So here you can see, here's the issue that the person who the owner was mentioning about. So in this modal pop-up, if we just inspect it, so in this modal pop-up, he wants that we should have this specific cover image as well. So very simple. So I'll do one thing, I will just download this image. Can we download it? Yes, we should be able to download that. So I will just save image as, and inside this I will just go to my playground folder where I did the file, where I cloned the repository. I'll go here and I'll paste it here. Okay, not here. Let me go to portfolio, copy, and then paste it. And then I'll go to src. So before you make any changes, first of all, you need to go through the code. So since I am the one who wrote this code, I am well familiar with it. But if you were making an open source contribution for the first time in that particular repository, make sure you go through the code first. Most of the times the code is very simple, and in case if it's not, usually organizations are ready to provide mentors as well who would guide you towards the code. So yes, this one looks simple. It has an entry point, index.js, and it has an assets folder. So this one looks quite clear that yes, there's an asset folder, and I can paste the repository here. So let me go inside the assets, and I can paste it as something like poster. So now I have, as you can see here, now I have a poster.png present here. So let me make those changes very quickly. So since I know this particular code base, I will make that. And again, I'm just showing you how to make a real open source contribution. This is just a sort of sample in front of you, a very real world sample. These will be the steps that you will need to go through. It's not just as simple as just cloning the repository and doing the change and then pushing your code. It will be a little difficult at first because you would need to go through the whole code. So I know where the change needs to be made, so I'll do that. So it seems that modal seems to be the perfect place. So I'll open this, and since it's very clearly written that it should show half space here, 50% for this, 50% for this. So we would require some CSS changes as well. So let me open modal.css as well at the side. This looks perfect. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, let me import again. This is specific to React.js. You can skip to next 2 minutes if you don't want to see me write code. This is again specific to React.js only. If you're not interested, you can completely skip this video. It's not an issue. I'm just trying to recreate the actual scenario, how open source contributions feel like. So I'm just going to import my poster.png. Perfect. Now I have the poster file here with me, and now I'll do one thing. So it looks a simple flexbox change. So instead of having a simple middle component, I'll have a container. So now here it must be one container. So I'll just move that within another container, and I'll define that as a flex row, and that should be it. Very simple. So what I'm going to do here is so again, without knowing the code, this change might look difficult, but it's very easy in general. So middle section container, perfect. And let me move this whole middle section into its own container. This looks perfect. So next thing that I'm going to do is I will add one more div tag here, saying middle section image. Perfect. And inside this, let me add, first of all, let me add an A tag. Let me add an A with a blank. Perfect. So here I'm going to provide the link to, since the author of this issue, who has opened this issue, has clearly said that he needs to link this to http://theleanprogrammer.com/AAM. So I'm just going to paste that here, theleanprogrammer.com/AAM. Perfect. This seems done here, and now we need to paste the image here. So I'll just add an image. I'll use the src as poster since we already imported it, and alt I can give it poster, and let me give it a class name of, let's say, AAM cover. That's it. So now if you see, it should display our changes. Yes, it has made some change. The only thing that we require here now is a little bit of alignment here. Perfect. Let's make that change. First of all, what I would do here is I would see the CSS for it. I'll try to understand the CSS, and then generally these things will be written in the issue itself. The author will provide you the exact code location that you can make that change into, or if he did not provide, just ask him. It's just comment here that, hey Madhav, can you point me towards the code where I need to make changes, or from where I can start learning about this, and that would make your life very easy. Middle section container. So since we added a middle section container, we will need to make it a display of flex. I'm going to make it a flex direction of row, and then I'm going to justify content as space between, not around, space between. Why space between? Because both of these elements are placed at the corner of the screen of the model. And then I'm just going to wrap this flex wrap. Perfect. Now we are done with the overall container designs. Now let us design the actual middle section image as well. Let me copy this class name from here, and let me paste this class name below the middle section here. Perfect. First of all, let me give it a max width of, let's say, 40%. 40% seems right. For small screens, we'll handle that separately, and let me give it a display of flex, and let me align self as center, so that if you notice something, it is aligned at the center of this particular container. Perfect. So let's this sounds perfect. Let's make some changes in the middle section as well. So in the middle section, first of all, I would I would add a flex direction. Flex direction is already column. Let me do one thing. Let me add a max width of 50%. This sounds perfect. Let me see what happens now. So it has gone to the left and it has become 50%. Now the only thing remaining is to adjust its width. Now it is overflowing. Now that's the only thing remaining that we need to take account for. AAM cover. So we can provide the final designs here. AAM cover. Perfect. And I can provide it a width of 100%. And that should solve the issue. Perfect. This makes it so cool. Now we are done with it, but the only issue is without testing, never ever raise a pull request without testing it locally, because as you can see here, it is going to look very bad in small screen sizes. Let me change the view like this and let me view it like this. It's looking very bad. It should go into the next line. So let's quickly fix that. For that I'm going to be using a media query. Media only screen and max width should be 640 pixels. This seems perfect. And then I'm going to provide a middle section of max width as 100%, just so that now they are actually occupying the 100% width, and middle section image as max width 100% as well. And now that's it. That should be fixed. Now it is fixed for all screen sizes and it's looking wonderful. Now we are done with our changes. So now we can come up. So fourth step is already done. Now all we need to do is, again, I forgot to make a new branch for it. Generally, it's a very good idea not to touch master directly. So yes, I'm going to make a quick branch for that. Let me do one thing. Let me open a git bash here. I am going to open git bash. So I'm going to check out now itself. It does not matter since I haven't committed my changes. So I'm going to check out, although you should be doing this at the start, but I'll do it now. It does not matter. Poster. So now I've gone to a different branch. Ideally you should go to a different branch before making your changes, but since I have not committed my changes, it does not really matter. Now I'll commit my changes. Git add dot git commit -m add poster git push -u origin, and the name of the branch would be madhav/poster. Perfect. And now as you can see, your changes, the step 5 is already done and the step 6 is remaining, that is submit a pull request. As you can see here, as soon as you submit your changes, an option to submit a pull request gets here. And now you can compare and pull request, add poster for AAM, and you can provide some description here. You can say that this specific issue resolves #3. So I'll just do resolves third issue, and I'll create a pull request. That's it. That's completely it. Like there's nothing else remaining. So just keep looking this space, keep looking my portfolio website, and have a look at various repositories on my GitHub account. I will add a lot of Hacktoberfest issues, starting from beginner friendly issues to more advanced issues as well. And I'm pretty sure that you can find a lot of issues on my account itself, as in my repositories itself to work on, and it will be accounted for Hacktoberfest as well. So just make sure that you are doing genuine and ethical Hacktoberfest changes, Hacktoberfest pull request and open source contribution. This was a genuine open source contribution. There are a few fake contributions as well. I will show you some examples in upcoming videos, but this was an example of a genuine open source contribution, because here you actually made an enhancement to a project. So keep the spirit of open source alive and keep contributing to open source projects. In the next video, I am going to discuss with you on how can you find open source issues to work upon. See you in the next video. Bye bye.